good evening. Can you hear me through the microphone? Fantastic. Oh, friends in the top. Okay. All right. Hi. Hi. Okay. Right. Yeah. So we're so excited to gather this evening in honor of our teacher, Rabbi Eric Wisnia. And so thank you so much for being here as we send him off in style. And we have a lovely evening prepared of learning together, and we'll have a chance for folks to share as well. But when we come together as a community, it really gives us a lot of strength and support. And the gathering that we have brought tonight can help us increase our joy and lessen our sadness. And some members of our community this week have experienced some sadness. And so we're actually going to start with Mourner's Kaddish this evening, as we're remembering a few who were taken from us very recently. Beverly Platten, the mother of Brian Platten. Our congregant Alvin Miller, father of Carol Braun. And Sylvia Hollander, mother of Karen Hochran. And one who has not yet been laid to rest, Carmela Mustachio, grandmother of Laura Nash Greenberg. So in memory of these loved ones, as a community, we rise and recite together. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah V'yalmad Divrach Yerutei V'yamlich Malchutei B'chayechon Uvyomechon Uvchaye D'chol Beit Yisrael Ba'galav V'zman Kariv V'yimru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mevarach L'olam U'lamei Almayah Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudesha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushvechata v'nechemata zamiran b'yalma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'romav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen. Please be seated. And now we hope to move from sadness to joy.
But I'll turn it up later. Okay. Havdalah is the ceremony for the separation of Shabbat from the rest of the week. We are permitted to extend Shabbat, and we have extended Shabbat a little bit tonight, so we're still kind of celebrating Shabbat. But eventually there does come a time when we have to say goodbye. And the Havdalah ceremony encapsulates this. We begin with the blessing over wine. Then there's a blessing for spices, and we smell the sweet smell of the spices to remind us of the sweetness of Shabbat as we say goodbye. And finally, we end the Havdalah service the way we began it, with fire, with light. And as Rabbi Wisnia likes to point out, fire is symbolic, light is symbolic of those things which do not decrease when we share them. Things like truth and love and, of course, hugs. So make sure before tonight ends that you give Rabbi Wisnia a hug.
Gods of technology are fickle. Welcome, Shavua Tov. It's such a joy to see all of you here to celebrate our Rabbi Wisnia. That wasn't me. Excuse me. As a community, we've been through so much with Rabbi Wisnia. We've laughed and cried, we've prayed and sang, and we've learned. Whether it be World War I strategy, Jewish factoids about the Civil War, or the 3 principles of Aristotelian logic. Rabbi Wisnia has imparted so much knowledge to us, and tonight, Rabbi, we want to give back. Tonight, we want to return the favor by sharing what you have taught us, and as a fitting tribute to you, our rabbi and our teacher, each of us will be sharing texts in the spirit of what you have brought to our lives. And as always in Jewish tradition, before we learn, we say a blessing. So if you'll join with the cantor and all of us as we wish the taste of Torah like Shabbat is sweet on our lips.
Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, la'asok b'divrei Torah. La 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 asok b'divrei Torah, la 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 asok b'divrei Torah, la 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 asok b'divrei Torah, la 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 asok b'divrei Torah. First up to bat. Lo alecha mlacha ligmor, velo ata ben chorin lihibatel mimena. I left the old-timey translation up just because I think it's a little funny. In contemporary vernacular, it would be essentially, it's not up to you to finish everything, but that doesn't mean you can give up. And I chose this quote because, in a sneaky way, it connects to all 3 points of Wisnistotilean logic. You see, this quote, in its original form, was meant to refer to Torah study. The idea being that it's impossible to learn all of Torah. There's just too much. You can learn and learn your whole life and never finish, so does that mean that it's not worth trying? And of course, the answer is no. You don't give up just because you can't finish. Every drop of Torah that you learn has value. It also is true, not only just for Torah learning, but also in terms of doing what's in Torah. You know, it is humanly impossible to do everything that Torah asks of us. And of course, the obvious question is, does that mean we shouldn't try? And Rabbi Tarfon, the author of this quote, would say, absolutely not. It doesn't mean you shouldn't try, even though that's a double negative. You have to try. You have to do as much as you can, because every good that you do has value. However, I want to point out, because it's impossible to do everything Torah asks of us, that means it's impossible to take Torah literally. Does that mean we don't have to take it seriously? Of course not. Principle number 1. Number 2, you can say it with me. Prayers don't change things. Prayers change people. People change things. As Rabbi Wisnia teaches us, we are God's instruments of change in the world. It really is up to us to do that for which we pray. As the prayer book says, pray as if everything depended upon God and act as if everything depends upon you. So here again, it's not a job we can ever finish, but that doesn't mean we're free to quit. Principle number 3. Jewish theology is Jewish sociology. This one's a little bit tricky, but if you think about it, the charge to make positive changes in our world is the very ethos of Judaism. It's what we are about. In fact, if we are not a force for good in the world, then what are we? And here again, this is work that can never be finished. And we ask Rabbi Tarfon, does that mean that we don't have to do it because we can't finish it? Does that mean we're free to just let it be? And Rabbi Tarfon's answer is, of course not. Finally, building our community here at Beth Chaim. This, of course, is work that will never be finished. You can't finish building a community. Rabbi Wisnia knew that when he came here 4 decades ago, that this was work that could never be finished. Did that stop him for a second from doing what needed to be done to build our community? And with Rabbi Tarfon, we say, of course not. And It's important that we all learn from his example. Even when our efforts feel like trying to move a mountain with a spoon, we have to keep at it. For while none of us can accomplish the task, if we don't allow ourselves to get discouraged, enough of us together can move mountains.
Rabbi, my mentor. I came here as a young educator. Just leave it at that. In awe of your poise in all situations, with parents, students, teachers, congregants. You seem to always know what to say, always know what to do, always have the right words. But more important than in the moment were the many conversations we shared before and after. Times when you used your experience to teach me, to guide me, to give me the confidence and skills to succeed. Like the prophets, you taught me to see the world not as it is, but as it should be. You taught me to be quiet, enough, and when to speak out, when to act, and when to step back. You showed me the power of a hug, a smile. Talmud tells us that the mark of a true mensch is one whose insides match their outsides. And Rabbi Wisnia, that is you. You walk the walk, you talk the talk. In shorts and sandals, a suit and a tie, your rabbinic robes, or the omnipresent BethChaim t-shirt. You see your role as to continue the chain of tradition started at Sinai, and in learning from you, my link is stronger indeed. Rabbi, my friend, actually everyone you meet is a friend, or a friend to be. There are no strangers in your world, although there are some strange people. None of them here tonight, of course. For many years we carpooled, often with one of your children or two of my children in the car, and these rides allowed me to see the less formal side of you. Less formal, you can all go where you want with that. My children from a very early age welcomed you into our home, our car. They played in your office, as did all the children in our building. Your hospitality is famous. There's always time to share a cup of coffee, a meal, especially a meal. You showed me the power of longevity in friendships. I know so few others who, after so many years, are still close with high school classmates. I cannot tell you how many times when I'm around Yardley and people say, I know Rabbi Wisnia from junior high, high school, a baby naming for a child who has children of their own. You're kind and loyal. And those of us privileged to work with you see this and admire it. You have taught me that there's always time to answer the phone, have a conversation, meet with a friend, make time for others. From Martin Buber, we learn that God is found in our connections with people, our relationships. Rabbi, your relationships fill your heart, and we are also fortunate to be a part of your life. Judge others fairly. You have taught me to look for both sides of the story, Rabbi, to see the good in all. From you, I have learned that we are all a little bit broken, and we all have the responsibility to help fix each other, and in doing so, to fix our world. Rabbi Wisnia, we are all so lucky. I am so fortunate, so proud to call you my rabbi, my teacher, and my friend. Thank you for all you have brought to me, all you have taught us, shown us. You have made me a better person, a better educator, and a better Jew. And for this, I am grateful.
Rabbi Nachman of Breslov was a Hasidic rabbi who lived at the end of the 18th century. Read his words with me together. It is a great mitzvah to be happy always. Everyone has lots of problems, and the nature of man is to be attracted to sadness. To escape these difficulties, constantly bring joy into your life, even if you have to resort to silliness. And you might not be able to tell from Rabbi Nachman's numerous teachings on the importance of joy and happiness, but he was someone who really suffered with a lot of sadness. But he knew that it was a spiritual practice to be joyful. He knew the old adage, fake it till you make it. If I act with joy, then maybe my feelings will catch up to the joy as well. And what I have learned here at Beth Chaim is how central joy is to our community and to our rabbi. A story, 5 years ago, I was in my last year of rabbinical school looking for a job. And at my very first in-person interview at a different shul, I was meeting with everyone and hearing stories about the fun that was to be had at the synagogue. But every time I interacted with the rabbi, I got a very serious persona. So one of my last questions of the day was to the board or the search committee, so tell me about some of the fun I'll have here at your synagogue. Tell me about some of the fun I'll have working with your rabbi. And while they told me great stories, the rabbi looked embarrassed. And I realized that this might not be the right place for me. That we should love what we do and take it seriously, but also have fun with it. My last in-person interview was here. And did I get joy? From the very first moment I set foot in this building. And since I've been here over the last 5 years, I've had incredible amounts of joy, especially around the holiday of Purim, in hearing all kinds of jokes, some punny and some less so. And every day, I get to have fun here at Congregation Beth Chaim. And I like to tell my friends that I have more fun than they possibly could have as well. Because how could any other synagogue be as joyful as Congregation Beth Chaim? And so I'm so incredibly grateful to Rabbi Wisnia for teaching me the importance of joy and sometimes of being silly. Sometimes being silly and being joyful and having fun keeps us sane as we're wrestling with all kinds of challenges and working with people in all facets of their lives. I've learned that sometimes a joke can either diffuse a sticky situation or put people at ease and just feel more comfortable, more loved, as if they know you. And humor also just brings people together. And so as we've been having the last meetings with Rabbi Wisnia present, whether it's our interfaith friends in Hightstown or the religious leaders of West Windsor, they've been asking that we maintain at least one joke every meeting in his absence to honor his memory, but also to remind us that the work we do is important and it is very crucial and it does matter and it does build community. But if we're not having fun, if we're not being silly, if we're taking ourselves too seriously, then we're missing the boat. I know that being Jewish is fun. Rabbi Wisnia has taught me to teach that to others as well. And so if we continue to do that, if we continue to engage in this spiritual practice of finding joy, even in the most challenging of moments, we will truly honor Rabbi Wisnia's legacy.
My name's Neil Borvitz, and I'm a retired rabbi trying to teach my chaver over here how to follow that path. Eric and I have known each other almost 49 years since we started rabbinical school in Jerusalem in the summer of 1970. So it's really a very special honor for me to be here. on this Shabbat as Eric is elevated to the role of emeritus to, as I said last night, to being a full member of Naor, with whatever meanings it has. It didn't go over last night. I'm not going to repeat the joke tonight. So, and I'm going to try to adhere to the 3 B's of public speaking. I'm going to try to be wise. Actually, instead of being a wise guy, we've got wisdom on the screen there from Pirkei Avot, and I'll try to be brief and then be seated. So, in Pirkei Avot, chapter 1, we have a machloket. We've got a problem. We've got a difference of opinion. That Shimon HaTzadik says at the beginning of chapter 1, Al shlosha devarim ha'olam omed. On 3 things the world stands. Al haTorah v'al ha'avodah v'al gemilut chasadim. On Torah, on avodah, which really means here worship, and gemilut chasadim, deeds of loving kindness, acts of chesed. But Rabban Gamliel, at the end of this same parak, chapter 1, the end of the same chapter, says, Al shlosha devarim ha'olam omed. Al hadin, v'al ha'emet, v'al ha'shalom. On 3 things the world stands, on judgment, on truth, and on peace. And then he footnotes it, unlike his earlier colleague, quoting Zechariah, the prophet Zechariah, chapter 8, verse 16, judge truth and the justice of peace in your gates. So what is it? What does the world stand upon? What are the pillars of life? Is it Torah, Avodah, Gemilut Chasadim? Or is it truth, justice, and peace? Is it our study, our worship, and our deeds of kindness? Or is it the values of truth, justice, and peace? All of us know, and it's been referenced tonight, that my buddy Eric is not only a great scholar of Torah and a great historian of the War of Yankee Aggression, but also of the First World War. And a German soldier during that First World War, a Jewish German soldier named Franz Rosenzweig, wrote postcards home to his mother. But instead of love notes, he wrote philosophic arguments. And Rosenzweig's notes that he later put together in a book called The Star of Redemption postulate that there are 3 things that we can affirm exist: God, the individual, and the world. And that was his triad, his triangle. And Rosenzweig then taught that God is related to the world through creation, that God is related to the humanity, to human beings, through revelation, and that humanity, or man, is related to the world through redemption. And if you connect those 6 points together, you get the Star of David. You take the 2 triads and put them one on top of the other in opposite directions, and that became Rosenzweig's great philosophic work, The Star of Redemption. Eric Wisnia, in his life, in his everyday life, in his interpersonal relationships, and in his role as your rabbi, has taken the 2 triads of Pirkei Avot and put them together, one on top of the other. Eric has taught all of us through word and action that these two triads are interconnected. That judgment, justice, truth, and peace come up out of the values that we are able to attain and retain and maintain through Torah, through avodah, through both avodah in the sense of worship, but avodah in the sense of working it, and through gemilut chasadim, deeds of kindness. Torah, worship, and deeds of kindness, truth, justice, and peace form the Wisnia star of affirmation. Eric has taught us and continues to teach us that study, worship, and actions are only truly meaningful when we use them in pursuit of truth, justice, and peace. And the converse is also true. That truth, justice, and peace cannot be realized unless each of us and all of us as a community continually, day by day, rededicate ourselves to the pursuit of Torah knowledge, to the ongoing building of Jewish community, and to deeds of love and kindness toward each other and toward every other on this globe. Welcome to retirement.
Now I want to hear from all of you. We have 2 microphones set up. If you would like to share something that Rabbi Wisnia has taught you over the years, we want to hear it. Share it with your rabbi. You can just line up at either microphone, and we'll just keep going until either I give you the next sign or we feel like we're ready to say thank you as a community. Start us off, Jerry. Just right there at the microphone. Yep. Rabbi, yeah.
It made more sense to face this way. My name is Jerry Kalstein. My wife Joyce and I have been members for a long time. And to show how much the rabbi has been a part of our lives, he was efficient. There we go. He was the efficient not only at our son's bar mitzvah, but many years later at his wedding. He also, on the grief side, shared with us and helped us get over the loss of both of my parents and the loss of both my wife's parents. And there's nothing further in a life cycle that you can point out to than that. And I'd like to say also, one of the things that the rabbi has affirmed in me is that in this life, we are stewards. It is our job not to amass as much material wealth as we can, but we have been placed here, like in the movie says in Oh God, the reason there are so many of us is that we're supposed to help each other. And so our job, I believe, is to pass along what we learn to our children and succeeding generations. And Rabbi Wisnia, you have helped confirm that. Thank you.
Is this on? Yeah, I guess it is. My name is Alana Berlinger. I'm a member here, I think it's 38 years. And it's probably 30 years that I've been going to the Sunday morning class and absorbed a lot of teaching over the years. I've struggled with the prayer, teach me to be humble in the presence of my enemies. We've talked about that. And what I've come away from that is if someone's a rat to me, and I'm a rat back to them, I'm a rat. And so I decided no one's going to determine my behavior. If someone's not nice, too bad for them. And I kill them with kindness, and that's my revenge. Thank you, Rabbi.
Modim אנחנו לך, modim אנחנו לך.
Starting with the naming of my daughter, 38 years ago, which he forgot to do at the service that I brought the 6-week-old baby to. So he did it the next week. It was okay. Through every single life event in my family, be it a hardship, be it a wonderful thing. My parents were members of the congregation. My children, their consecration, their bar mitzvah, b'nai mitzvah, the whole thing, all the way up till now. And the best thing I can ever have is a hug. And I know that from my rabbi, because every event was like a hug. So go into retirement with a lot of hugs.
Hi, I'm Gary Fox. My wife and I, Leslie, have been members here for about 35 years. And along with Leslie and her love of Judaism and my daughter Jessica, who's a cantor, and her spirituality, Rabbi Wisnia is one of the reasons I converted to Judaism. And I want to tell him with all honesty, Rabbi, I forgave you years ago. Then, after this ceremony, he invited me to his office. He says, Gary, how do you feel now that you're a Jew? I said, I want to kvetch. Why are our dues so high? Why are we wasting money on programs that don't mean anything? And oh, don't expect to see me until high holy days. Some months later, I'm on the board doing budgets. I'm explaining why our dues are reasonable. Programs are great. I thank you with all my love, Rabbi.
מודים אנחנו לך, מודים אנחנו לך.
Hello, I'm Brianna Watson. Is that better? Yeah. Okay. I've been coming here for 15 years now. You know Talia. She got me to come here in first grade for religious school, and I was so proud yesterday to be able to stand up for all of the first 4 of the Modim Anachnu Lach things, because I got my Jewish name from you. I was confirmed by you. I went to religious school here, and you helped me with my bat mitzvah. So thank you for that. And also, I wanted to thank you for bringing humor into what you do, because I also really love puns, so we get along very well. And one of my other favorite things about you is how much you get other people to like you without even trying. So a couple times, I think it was multiple times, I don't know, sorry. My high school choir from West Windsor Plainsboro High School North, we came here for a Kristallnacht memorial service. And I remember afterwards, all my friends were telling me how much they liked our rabbi. They were describing you as like a Jewish Santa. And like, I mean, just because of, how jolly and joyful you are, and we appreciated all your jokes and how you were still able to keep it serious enough for the event that we were commemorating. And some of them were even talking about maybe converting, and maybe that was just a fever dream, but I don't know. I don't know where these guys are today. But I wanted to just thank you for being the best rabbi that I've ever seen. I've been to, throughout all the bat mitzvahs that I've been to, and all the other congregations that I've been to, and I know maybe I'm a little biased, but this one's my favorite. Now that you'll have more time for retirement, you can have all the cheesesteaks you want. Because I remember I remember for the confirmation trip that we had to Philadelphia when I was in 10th grade, we were gonna go to get cheesesteaks at the end of the night. And you asked everyone on the bus if they wanted to, and they all said no. And you were the only one who really seemed disappointed. So, so I can go with you to make that up to you sometime, but just, yeah. I don't want to end it on that note, but I know that there will be many joyful moments to come. So, okay.
Okay, so let's get this out of the way up front. Okay? As Tom Hanks said, to his wife after they brought him back when his plane went down. Closer, closer. I don't want my nose to touch it. So I fell. It was windy. I broke my nose. Could have been worse. Thank you for your good wishes. You know everything that I know, so don't ask me any questions. My name is Keith Sachs, and my family has been here, members, for a long, long time. I think it was the year that Bill Bradley said, "Oh, you're that little building, that synagogue in the cornfield." And that's how he referred to us. I grew up Jewish, you know. I was Jewish. Everybody was Jewish, right? And I wasn't from New York. And still am not. My wife grew up in a very different situation. She was Jewish, and she knew she was Jewish because it was a dangerous thing to be. At the age of 4, she became a hidden child in a small town in Vichy, France, and got her first introduction to religion. She was told, "Now, you are a Catholic child, and you must learn the prayers, and you must not make a mistake, because if you do, the results can be very serious. You place yourself in danger, your parents in danger, and those who are caring for you here in danger." At the same time, and that was very frightening. It was very frightening. She was very frightened of the priests and of the nuns, especially when the nuns told her that only Catholics went to heaven. And she said, "How can I tell my parents they're going to go to hell? I have to tell them." Yet at the same time, she found comfort in that religion. And the comfort came from the statues that were in the chapel, especially the statue of Mary with her outstretched arms and the flowers. Everyone called her mother. Why shouldn't I? And so she talked to Mary. And she talked to her very quietly. And she said, "Please take care of my parents." But she said it very, very quietly because she didn't want anyone to hear it and realize that she didn't belong here. She was a farce. She didn't belong here. And as she said, maybe I don't belong anywhere. When the war ended and she came back to Paris for a brief time, her parents had both survived. She stopped praying to Mary. She thought it was not the right thing to do, so she dropped it. But after a few years when she was at home, her mother suffered a stroke, and so now she was, in her mind, abandoned one more time and sent to a children's home. This was the third act of abandonment in her mind. And this home was very Yiddishkeit, you know, and she didn't understand what all the excitement was about. I've been told all my life that you didn't tell anybody you were a Jew, you hid it. All of a sudden, they're dancing in the streets and preparing to go to Israel. What's all the excitement about? And her question was, "You say I'm a Jew. All right, I'm a Jew. What does that mean? What am I supposed to do? What kind of a person am I supposed to be? What kind of life should I lead?" And she couldn't find the answer there. She couldn't. The counselors were wonderful people, and the education was very good. All the children needed attention and love. There weren't enough people to give it, so they shared in what little there was. And then the day came, still searching for an answer. Across the street is a yeshiva. And two different worlds could not be more than that yeshiva. The yeshiva used to come and to draw water out of their well, but they had no other contact. But she said, "They're Jewish, maybe they can help me." So literally, she crossed the road, and she was looking for someone to help her. And she went into a building, she looked around, there was no one there, but there were books. And so she picked up a book. She couldn't read it, but she took the book with her and went back across the road and put the book underneath her pillow. And at night, she would take it out, and she would smell it. She would hold it against her. She was trying to absorb something. And she says, I left Brenoir, which is the town with us, after 6.5 years, no more a Jew than the day I arrived. But I did learn something about the Jewish people. I learned that over the history of those people, 3,000 years, whatever it might have been, they have survived. Armies 10 times bigger than theirs wanted to crush them time after time after time. And those armies don't even exist anymore. And yet the Jewish people survived. So there must be something there. There must be something there. And with that, she vowed that when she married and had children, she would raise them as Jews. So many had died in all those wars. How could she forsake them? And she did that. She raised them as Jews here at Beth-Chaim. She and the rabbi had many, many spirited conversations, and I remember him saying that, complimenting her. And then he said, but she never believed the word. But she came to her own conclusion, and that's fine. And her conclusion was that if you are a good person and you raise your children to be good people, and those that you interact with are good people, then you are a holy person and you are doing God's work. And that is what Judaism gave to her. And Rabbi Eric was right there with the hugs. Thank you, sir.
Modim anachnu lach, modim anachnu lach.
I'm Charlie Small, and Paula's already told me to keep it short. So when we joined 38 years ago, and we first met Rabbi Eric, I immediately knew that I'd be very comfortable because I realized as we talked, he and I were both second generation children of Holocaust survivors. So that immediately made me understand that we both had an appreciation for what life was about to give us and was always going to give us, because life is really easy for those of us who had parents who were survivors. It's something we always internalized. Over the years, our kids were consecrated here, bar mitzvahed, confirmed. Paul and I were confirmed here. But there are a few moments that stand out in my mind. When my oldest son had gotten sepsis throughout his body because of a burst appendix, there was a moment in a week where we didn't know if he was going to survive. Rabbi Eric came to the hospital, prayed over him, and I almost lost it. But I remember what he always said, prayers don't change things. You can't pray for miracles. But the miracle of prayer that he taught me was that it gives you hope. It won't necessarily change anything. So that was a special moment. Over the years, he brought over a young woman who became part of our family. And who knew that we would get a rabbi in our family? And Eric once said to me, now I've lost you. I'm no longer your rabbi. I told him, just like your first love, you never forget your first rabbi. And last but not least, the other thing he taught me about was Judaism. And so his wife, Judy, has always been special in our family. And because of one of our granddaughters, Dove Ray, will always be connected. So thank you.
My name is Michael Katz, and I've had the privilege of being around when Eric showed up here at BethChaim, having been a member for 2 years already, and known him all of his tenure through weddings, bar mitzvahs, funerals. Eric is my rabbi too, Charlie. But when we talk about joy, I can always remember our first trip to Israel together when we were down in the Cardo, and Stuart was a new cantor, just came on board, and he came with us. And Rabbi Eric's father, Cantor Dave, was with us too. And all of a sudden, after dinner, in the middle of this ancient, ancient place, the rabbi looked at his father and the new cantor and said, well, are we going to have some singing? And all of a sudden, you talk about joy, there were dueling cantors singing in this amazing place with the music echoing. And we were all in tears because it was just such a joyous time. Thank you for so much strength, so much friendship, so much joy and sadness together, which we've shared, and you'll always be my rabbi.
מודים אנחנו לך, מודים אנחנו לך.
I grew up unobservant in Squirrel Hill, Pennsylvania. My father grew up in England, and his nickname was Mickey because he passed as an Irish person in a British neighborhood, even though he was a Jew. My mother wanted us to be wasps, but you can't really be a wasp when your first name's Rhoda. I met Eric Wisnia at a talk he gave on how to raise a Jewish child. And of course he was charismatic, but he had some things in me that really touched me. All the things that didn't happen to me as a young Jew. And I thought, this is the guy. So the next week I came back and he told a funny story about not getting out of the car to go to Hebrew school, but his mother kicked him out of the car anyway. And so I went through some thinking. You are the one who let me stand on the bima and give a speech after my naming, after going to the mikveh in Teaneck, where there is no ham in the pea soup. You let me stand there in front of the ark. And one day you said, we're gonna go to the mikveh. Okay, fine, we're going to the mikveh. Okay. I took my name as Ketsia, as one of the daughters of Job's second family, because Job distributed all of his assets and land equally, which I am always told and given a hard time about being a feminist, even this morning. But I gave birth on 15 August 2001, and I had to call my rabbi at midnight and say, can you name my daughter? And he said, I'll get a minion. And the next day he did. I'm happy to say she gave all of her organs away, like a good girl should. And I sat in his office, and he told me, just lead on. You know, say the prayers. You're going to know, and all of a sudden you're going to feel them. Be the person you want to be, and I'll lead you. I married a non-Jew. Please forgive me for that. Okay. And when he left me at 50 for a 25-year-old Chinese girl, I ran to the rabbi, and he says, let's go to the mikvah. That's what it's for. Change your life. And I have never had such a powerful, powerful experience as going to the mikvah. And if you have not gone, you must go. You can go over and share me. It was just I'm not one given to exaggeration, but it was incredible. So I came in and talked to him after that, and he said, yeah, I've led you. You know the prayers. And I'm going to let you go. So he has. And he's not the only reason I'm here. I've made a lot of good friends here. But I just want to thank you. Thank you. You let me talk from the bima. You've led me, and you've let me go. And it's going to be hard to be without you. And I just want to know this morning, let you know, in Torah study, he sat next to me, and he had his laptop open, and he was playing solitaire during the, during the Torah lesson. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Mwah. A biento.
מודים אנחנו לה, מודים אנחנו לה.
These are going to be our last speakers.
I'll be quick. So I joined BethChaim over 30 years ago, and I was not Jewish, and my husband at the time was, and we took a class, the Introduction to Judaism class, and everyone said, I'm so-and-so, and I'm converting to marry so-and-so, and I'm so-and-so, and converting to marry so-and-so, and I said, I'm Camille. We're already married, I'm Catholic, and I'm staying that way. And Rabbi Wisniewski went, okay. And he would say things, and I would go, okay. And I'd say, well, why? And eventually in the class, it got to the point he'd go, blah, 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 blah. And Camille, I'll tell you why in a minute. So it was good. It was good. And then as the years went on, we decided, we had children, and we went to Rabbi Wisniewski, and he goes, look, I can't tell you what to do. I could tell you I'd want you to raise them Jewish, but you can't do both. So pick one and really get into it. So we raised our children Jewish. And unfortunately, 11 years ago, tragedy struck us, and my husband died. And the day that happened, how do you tell 3 kids? They woke up and went to school, and they come home from school, and their dad's gone. Well, you rely on somebody to come and help you. And every single one of my children remember that day, as do I. And you were there for us. And I can't tell you how much it means that you share a lot of joy and good things, but you were there when we needed you the most. And we still do. And we will miss you, and we love you, and thank you.
I'm very flattered to be the closer. My name is Chris Serkis. Ironically, I wasn't going to say anything. I started my day today starting a new job where I celebrated the career of someone who had been doing that job for 39 years. And here I am this evening celebrating, ending my day, celebrating the life of someone who's done that same, a very different job for 39 years. And I sit here and I realize the importance of community and how all the work I do is surrounded in the community and the people that I surround myself with. And I thought of you and this gentleman that I replaced this morning, and watching that community as we gathered in the center of a farmer's market in Trenton to celebrate that, and seeing people who knew him from all his walks of life. And I see you with all your walks of life, and I'm so fortunate that we can celebrate you and the community that you have built in this house of life. And I just thank you on behalf of my family and my community of friends that I surround myself with every day, that lift me and sustain me, and hope that we can all have the same. So thank you.
One final time, a rousing thank you. He hasn't even spoken yet. No. And some words from our rabbi.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'm sad. My mother passed almost a year ago, and it's a shame. She would have enjoyed hearing all this. My children, of course, Dove passed a long time ago, and my other children are not here, but the three of them would have been totally incredulous and not believe any of this. To my wonderful wife, Judith, who has, behind every successful man, there's always an astonished woman. And she has stood with me for how many wonderful years, dear? All of them. All of them. That's right. I married her. She was young and carefree, and now look. No, thank you, honey, for all the support and the time. To my wonderful friend Neil, who came, and to Ann, his handler, who brought him down. And thank you for marrying him and saving him. And thank you, Neil. It's a pleasure. And I thank you both for coming down. It's really sweet. Neil and I have been friends forever. And we did share a sacred moment in rabbinic school. The last year before I was ordained, we were running the Purim service. And Neil and I decided that Purim is such a happy holiday. I know you'll find this hard to believe, but I was not that serious in rabbinic school. And there was a bust of Isaac Mayer Wise, who was the founder of the rabbinic school. And Neil and I decided, and this very formal German rabbi, we took him, we put the bust, we took it off the pedestal, put it on the middle of the bima, we put a yarmulke on him, with a tallis, and Neil put a cigarette in his mouth, which lit. And when the faculty came in and saw what Neil and I had done, Neil and I almost were not ordained. And it was a few years later that I found out that bust had been done by Sir Moses Ezekiel and was worth $1 million. And I immediately called Neil and said, "You know that bust we were carrying around?" Much of my life I have had the good luck and kindness of having wonderful friends and wonderful congregants, and I thank you all, and you have all touched my life. The text I think that really has moved me is in Pirkei Avot, when it says, "Al tifrosh min hatzibor." Don't separate yourself from the community. You need to be part of a community. You need to be. It's how we define ourselves as Jews. It's how we define ourselves as people, by what community we live in. And I have been honored to have been your rabbi for these many years. Thank you all for paying dues, for supporting my congregation and giving me a job. My staff has been wonderful. Orly is the newest part of our staff and is doing a fantastic job. Anne, my friend and educator, my personal educator, my lifelong, her job is to educate me for her entire life. And she has done a fantastic job, and it is truly thank you for the wonderful work you have done and the kindness you've shown me. To my brother, we stand back to back. The rabbi and the cantor should be friends, and we are, because frankly, folks, you're all crazy, and we do stand back to back and defend each other. And the last thing I want to say is that when I think about other texts that motivate me, I remember, of course, that wonderful song, American Pie, which I have modified, of course, as I do everything else on Purim. And the three men I admire most, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And our rabbis talk about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And of course, Abraham is the founder of the Jewish people and a tremendous father figure of the Jews. And Yaakov is Jacob, Israel, and we are the children of Israel, and there are many, many, many stories about Israel and Jacob. And then, of course, there's Isaac in the middle. And Isaac is a bit of a schlemiel. All that happens to him really is Abraham doesn't sacrifice him. And I suppose that's worth something. And the rabbis ask, in commenting on the Avot, why do we talk about our God and God of our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? Certainly the God of Abraham is important and the God of Jacob is important. Who cares about Isaac? And the rabbis say, Isaac was an important link. Isaac took Judaism from Abraham and passed it to Jacob and didn't mess it up. And so I like to think of myself that way, that I have taken Judaism from my mentor and my teacher and my rabbi, Herbert Hendel, and I will pass it on to my associate rabbi, Rabbi Adina Blum, who is wonderful and fantastic, and hopefully I didn't mess it up too much. And that's all I can leave you with, that you are my family, you are my congregants, you are my friends. It has been an honor. It has been an honor. And now I'll just fade away. Go home, annoy my wife, watch a lot of TV, play a lot of games, write a book about a civil war, and have the best time of my life. Thank you very much.
Rabbi.
So there is a blessing. This blessing is in Torah. It was the blessing that Aaron and his children were instructed, the progenitors of our priesthood, were instructed to give to the people of Israel. And from that day to this, it is a blessing that our leaders have placed on us. Tonight, we'd like to turn the tables. Tonight, we'd like the congregation to give Rabbi Wisnia this same blessing. And for those of you who remember the great challah connection from Friday night, tonight we're going to do the great rabbi connection. So everyone in the room needs to either be touching Rabbi Wisnia or touching someone who is touching Rabbi Wisnia.
And let us coordinate you. Rabbi, you're going to stand here.
Rabbi?
Maybe he'll join us. Oh, yeah, I got it. Stand with me. All right.
You're going to join us?
You'll be next. So if you'd like to come close. We'd like our temple board to come next. And we're going to get snug in here, so let's everybody pretend like we like each other and all smell good. All right. All right, if you've ever been a lay leader at Congregation BethChaim, come next. However you want to define that. Don't worry, Leslie, I won't forget you. Come down, friends, come down. All right, friends, gather round. Come on down, everyone. Come on down, everyone. Is everyone touching someone who's touching someone who's touching someone who's touching Rabbi Wisnia? All right.
Who was born in Metuchen?
And now we take this moment to offer a blessing.
יברכך אדוני וישמרך.
May God bless you and keep you.
יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונקה.
May God's light shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you.
יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום. Shalom.
May you feel God's presence within you always, and may you find peace.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
And lest you think I have never learned a new joke. It seems that Bjarni Herjolfsson, a name I just made up, was appointed the new admiral of the Swedish Navy. And Bjarni was standing there talking to... He was talking to the Prime Minister on the dock in Stockholm. And the Prime Minister said to him, Bjarni, you've done a wonderful job with the Swedish Navy. I'm very impressed. But I don't understand why it is that you put a barcode on the side of every one of our warships. And Bjarni looked at him and smiled and said, well, it's so much easier to Scandinavian.
Lila Tov, have a great week.
Come around this way.